A few years ago, my boss Barry did a job for a company called Big Daddy Construction and got totally screwed over. It wasn't some massive amount of money, a couple $1,000, but the fact remains they played him. Basically, he took Big Daddy's word for it, and they denied everything afterward. Barry consulted a lawyer who said that since the agreement wasn't in writing, going to court was pointless. Even if he won, legal fees would outweigh any compensation. Big Daddy responded with something like, "My lawyer will crush your lawyer." Then Barry asked the question every lawyer dreams of hearing: what should I have done differently? So it was 2017. Big Daddy takes on a project for a new restaurant. Barry bids on supplying and installing door hardware handles, emergency locks, door closers that shut doors, and three automatic door operators, ADOs. You've probably seen these: a metal button with a wheelchair icon. Press it, and a motor opens the door. It's for people with limited mobility to get through. Barry wins the bid and calls a meeting. He's personally leading this project. All communication with Big Daddy must go through Barry only. If someone from Big Daddy calls and says, "Nice weather," huh? Our response is, "Don't know. Let me transfer you to Barry." Under threat of immediate firing, nobody's allowed to give Big Daddy Barry's mobile number. After hours techs can only call back and say Barry will contact them in the morning. Break this rule and you're fired. Clear. A few weeks pass, and the general contractor GC calls us. He's not just running the project for Big Daddy, he's the boss's son. He's an arrogant tyrant with anger issues and a vocabulary built on cuss words. For those who don't know, the GC ensures all construction stages happen in order. For example, building a bathroom first, the walls, then electrical plumbing, drywall tiles, baseboards, then painting walls and ceilings, installing cabinets, light switches, and only at the end, the fixtures. So the GC deals with tons of subcontractors and coordinates them. It's a stressful job that requires cooperation, but it's hard to get people to cooperate when you're yelling and swearing at them. The GC never figured that out. We need to install three ADOs, two at the entrance and one in the accessible bathroom. Regular bathrooms are downstairs, but by law, there must be a wheelchair accessible bathroom. This one's in a hallway where waiters carry food and clear dishes. The restaurant's decor was dark like a Victorian gentleman's club oak, everywhere thick carpets. The entrance had a decorative wall with niches for sculptures and spots for paintings. The GC calls everything's ready for ADO installation. We show up and install. Per the bid terms, Big Daddy was supposed to run dedicated 120 V power to the door operators and 12V wiring from the activation buttons to the top of the door frame to connect to the operator's control board. None of that was done at the time of installation. So Barry hooked up the ADOs via an extension cord and used a wireless transmitter and receiver to activate them. This was all outlined in the bid terms we install, then return to connect wiring once it's run. Barry personally oversaw the installation. When the GC signed off on the accessible bathroom ADO, the fine print stated Big Daddy took full responsibility for meeting all building codes. The GC didn't even read it, just scribbled his signature and took his copy. Barry made sure a tech was standing there when the GC signed. About 2 weeks before opening, when final work's happening, Barry gets a panicked call from the GC. None of the ADOs work, and without them, the restaurant won't get its occupancy permit. The next day, Barry goes to the site with a tech. "Barry, I found the problem. GC fixed this damn problem. Barry, no 120V power to the doors, and no 12V wires for the buttons. You didn't run the wiring. Why not GC? That wasn't in my scope of work. Barry, it was your job. Why didn't you tell me last time? GC, I did, and you signed it. Barry, where's the electrician? GC electrician, get your ass over here. Electrician, what's up, GC? Why is there no power to these door things, electrician? Not in my scope of work. Barry, good news. GC, what, Barry? If we use wireless controls for the buttons, you won't need 12V wires. I'll bill that as extra work. Once you get 120V power, the operators will work. Here's where the GC realizes he's screwed. The restaurant's 90% finished, but power to a critical part isn't there. No power, no occupancy permit. Big Daddy messed up big time, assuming Barry or the electrician would run the wires, but not including it in either scope. The electrical panel's deep in the kitchen. Running 120 volts to the front entrance would require going through the ceiling, which is nearly impossible. The lighting's already installed, and the ceiling's a fancy decorative structure. Even if they pulled it off, they'd either run a metal conduit over the decorative wall, or tear out part of the ceiling, run the cable, and rebuild. The accessible bathroom was easier, it was closer, and wires could go through a drop ceiling. That wing had offices and storage with tiled ceilings, unlike the main hall's 20-foot ceilings. The electrician quoted the GC a hefty sum for the extra work. Remember, the accessible bathroom, when the building inspector came for a pre-check, the bathroom's usable area minus the space taken by the inward opening door was below the minimum required. They needed a quick fix, as rebuilding the bathroom moving walls and relocating plumbing would be too costly and slow. So the GC decided to reverse the door to open outward into the hallway. This had awful consequences for the restaurant's workflow. Every time someone used that bathroom, the door blocked the flow of waiters between the kitchen and dining area. And people are lazy, so even non-disabled folks often used it since it was closer. I don't know what talks happened between the restaurant's management and Big Daddy, but I bet they weren't pleasant. The GC signed off on this too, and Barry billed for reconfiguring the ADO due to the door's new direction. A few days after it became clear the entrance doors needed 120V power, the GC called Barry to say the power was run. Barry goes with a tech to check. At the restaurant's entrance, there's a heater called an air curtain, a big unit that blows warm air to keep cold outside air from coming in. It uses a ton of power when it kicks on. The GC hooked the 120V for the ADOs to the same circuit as this air curtain. Barry explained that per the bid terms, each ADO needed a dedicated line. The GC said, "I don't give a crap, hook it up." Barry connected it and got his signature again. This time, the fine print in the acceptance form stated that no dedicated line voided all warranties, and any work would be billed separately. As usual, the GC didn't read it, just signed and took his copy. ADOs are sensitive to power quality. They have a motor obviously controlled by a board that adjusts opening speed, hold time, closing speed, push force, and so on. Any voltage spike fries the board, and the ADO stops working. A spike trips the fuse and damages the board's components. The part can be replaced. It costs about $30. Fixing a board takes about 30 minutes, plus another 30 for testing with an oscilloscope. Barry had sent a tech for training with the manufacturer to get certified in board repairs, though we usually just sent them back to the factory and ordered new ones. Sure enough, a couple days later, the GC calls in a panic. The final inspection for the occupancy permit is tomorrow, and one of the entrance ADOs isn't working. GC, your operator's busted. Get here and fix it now. Barry, okay, but it's not under warranty, it's billable. GC, what it broke in less than a week. It's under warranty. Barry, warranty's void because you didn't provide dedicated power. GC, screw that. Come put in a new ADO. Barry. Don't need a new one, just a new control board. I can order one from the manufacturer. It'll take 4-6 weeks. The GC loses it. He can't delay the opening for 6 weeks waiting for a part. He cusses Barry out, threatens to sue the works. Barry says, look, GC, I have a refurbished board certified by the manufacturer's tech. I can give it to you for 80% of a new one's price installed by noon tomorrow. What's it going to be, refurbished or new? And you confirm this is paid separately per the bid terms. GC, just fix this damn thing by tomorrow. Now Barry knew the GC and Big Daddy were planning to screw him again, like last time, which ended in a "I never said that" dispute. But the GC didn't know Barry recorded every call. You know, this call may be recorded for quality assurance. Barry never used his mobile, never initiated calls, and recorded and saved every incoming call from the GC. Every damn time. Sure enough, a couple days later, another ADO fails. Barry asks the GC if he's satisfied with the refurbished board, gets confirmation, swaps the fried board for a refurbished one, and takes the fried one to the shop for repair. A new control board costs $750. Barry charged $600 for a refurbished one when repairs cost $75 max. Per the bid terms, non-warranty work was 125-hour minimum, 4 hours, so $500 for labor. Installing and tuning a board takes 45 minutes minimum. Each repair netted Barry $100. In the first 2 months, there were 27 board replacements. Every call was authorized by the GC, and Barry got verbal approval each time. If someone from the restaurant called, we gave them the GC's number and said we'd come only with his direct request. Then Barry gets a call from the GC's dad, the head honcho of Big Daddy. Why the hell are you billing us almost $30,000? Barry explains, and a meeting's set. Barry shows up with his lawyer, all signed forms and transcripts of every GC call. It quickly becomes clear the GC screwed up big time, and Barry dotted every I and crossed every T. Big Daddy's boss glares at the GC and tells Barry that if he wants his money, he'll have to sue. Barry smiles and plays his trump card, a construction lien against Big Daddy, the restaurant, and MI Realty Company, the building's owner. This is a legal claim subcontractors can file against a property if they're not paid for work done. Here's the kicker. The restaurant was owned by an internationally famous chef, Mish, who makes money convincing very important people to invest in new restaurants. These are places they take business partners to show off their clout. Eventually, the restaurant becomes a hot spot, investors sell it, and cash out. Mish stays on, helps with the transition, and gets a cut of profits for using his name. He's built a cash flow off other people's money, and investors get a solid return. But now the restaurant can't be sold because of the lien, and these investors have lawyers like rabid pit bulls. Some are lawyers. See you in court, Big Daddy. But this time you're not facing Barry's lawyer. You're up against a whole different level. Barry got his revenge in spades. Then he officially stopped servicing the ADOs due to unpaid bills. We're the only company authorized to service and install this ADO brand in the region with exclusive rights from the manufacturer. Barry does 7-figure business with them yearly. All other companies in the area were warned by the manufacturer, who, by the way, told Barry that Big Daddy called them directly looking for service. They sent them right back to Barry. Barry will definitely get his money, as standard practice, holds back 10% of a construction company's payment for a year, and that's enough to cover the bill. So the restaurant will pay Barry, then deduct it from Big Daddy's holdback. Or they'll sue Big Daddy into oblivion to make them pay up. Who Big Daddy found to service the operators instead of Barry is unknown. Barry has plenty of industry friends and warned them all. But there are competitors, and he didn't tell them anything. Maybe Big Daddy's now screwing one of Barry's rivals, and anything that hurts his competitors helps Barry. That makes this a truly pro-level revenge. Think about it. Maybe Barry, with decades of industry experience, had a buddy electrician who showed him the electrical part of the bid. Maybe Barry knew from the start that none of the specs included 120V power, or that the bathroom didn't meet code, or that the GC unknown slacker would take the easy route and hook the ADOs to the air curtain. Bravo, Barry. The game was played like a master. Music. Now on to the next story. My coworkers wanted to drink coffee at work on my dime, but I shut that down. I'm a mechanic at a factory somewhere in the middle of nowhere, USA, and I've worked here over 10 years. Before I got transferred to my current spot, you could either bring coffee from home or pay $1 at a vending machine for some awful sludge. I chose the first option, but went further. I brought a spare coffee maker from home and started restocking coffee sugar and creamer. I kept it in the mechanic's office out in the open. For a long time it was obvious I was the only one using it, though I never said it was exclusively mine. This went on for about a year until a coworker who also loved coffee joined my shift. We came up with a coffee fund, put a jar next to the coffee maker for spare change. When something ran out like sugar, one of us used the coins to restock. Everything was fine. A couple years later, my coworker got promoted to maintenance supervisor, my new boss. I was alone again. I left the jar, kept the old system, and stuck a note on the coffee maker in plain sight. If you use the coffee maker, please toss some change in the coffee fund jar so we can restock supplies. This was in case someone from another shift wanted to use it while I was gone. But one day I noticed sugar was running out suspiciously fast. I only used a tiny bit, so someone else was drinking coffee. Then I saw other supplies' coffee creamer disappearing too quickly. Not just sugar. Normally I wouldn't make a big deal, but I also noticed the jar stopped collecting change. Either it was just my coins, or someone was taking money out without restocking. I put up with it for a bit, but I got fed up with being the only one buying everything while some freeloaders used it, and even stole change from the jar. I took the coffee maker home and started brewing coffee into a thermos to bring to work. About a week later, as I'm heading home, a manager, not my boss, stops me in the hallway. Let's call him Saul. Here's the conversation. Saul, hey, what's up with the coffee maker? It break me. No, it didn't break. I'm just tired of people taking money from the coffee fund jar and not using it to restock. I was buying everything out of pocket. Saul, you took it home me. Yeah. Now, I just pour coffee into a thermos and bring it. Saul cutting me off. You can't just take company property. You're not the only one who used it. We all did. Me. And Saul cutting me off again. Either bring it back or I'm telling your boss. And we'll see what he does with you. Me. I'll bring it back if people start actually pitching in. Not just leaving it all on me. Saul, do your job. Me. My job's fixing machines, not being a corporate barista. Saul, it better be back tomorrow, or I'm going to your boss. He stormed off without letting me get a word in. The next day, obviously I didn't bring my coffee maker back. At the end of my shift, Saul comes at me again. Saul, did you bring the coffee maker? Me. No, I told you. I'm not buying coffee and everything else alone. Saul, you can't keep company property at home. That coffee maker's been there for years. You have to return it. Me? I know it's been there for years. It's been there exactly as long as I've worked here because I brought it from home. It's my coffee maker. Saul, I'm calling your boss right now, and we'll see what happens to you. Me laughing, call whoever you want. I don't care. You can't tell me what to do with my personal property. I walked to my car and left. On the way home, my boss calls. Reminder, he's my old coworker, and even after his promotion, we stayed good friends. Let's call him Bob. Here's how it went. Me, hey Bob, what's up, Bob? Just talk to Saul. What's this nonsense about you stealing company property? That's not like you, man. Me, did he even say what company property he's talking about? Bob, no, he just said you admitted to taking it and refused to return it. You asked him what it was. Me, yeah, but he got so worked up he couldn't even explain. Guess I pissed him off. Bob, I know. Look, you remember that coffee maker in my office way back? Me, yeah, coffee fund. Did anyone else even use it? Bob, man, I told you I still haven't had coffee better than what you brewed back then. Why you bringing it up? Wait, don't tell me that's the company property Saul's talking about. Me. Yup. He's on about my coffee maker. Bob, I know it's your personal stuff, but I don't want Saul whining to upper management. It's not worth the hassle. They'll investigate, waste a ton of time, and send some dumb corporate email about theft or whatever. Just bring it back. Me, I'm not going to be the only one supplying coffee. Bob, how about this? Bring it back, but keep your personal supplies in your locker. Start with a small shared stash for everyone. Use the coffee fund jar if you want. When that runs out, restock just for yourself. Then, if Saul or anyone wants to use it, they'll have to bring their own stuff. Sound good. Me think I'll do that. And I did. The next day, I brought the coffee maker back as Bob asked, but kept my personal supplies in my locker. Only Bob knew. That same day, Saul catches me again. Saul, saw you brought the coffee maker back. Me, yeah, Bob asked. Saul, you're lucky he didn't report you to HR. Me, report me to HR for my coffee maker. Sure. Saul, doesn't matter. Now we can all drink coffee again. No thanks to you. Me, no thanks to me. It's my coffee maker. Saul, don't talk to me like that. I'll call Bob. He'll put you in your place. As planned, I let the initial coffee stash run out and didn't restock. I didn't toss anything in the jar either. It took about a week, and in that time, not a single cent showed up in the jar. Saul comes at me again. Saul, hey, we're totally out of creamer and sugar, and the coffee jar's almost empty. Me, got it. Maybe you can handle it. Saul, I'm not a corporate barista. Me, we're out of creamer and sugar, buy some. Saul, I thought you were handling it. Me, no, I didn't get surgery to handle creamer. Saul, do your job. Me, I'm doing my job. You, Saul, what are you doing? Don't say your job, because hassling people to buy coffee out of pocket isn't your job. Saul, that's not very polite. Me, no, it's not polite at all, just like whining to Bob that I won't bring my personal stuff to work, right? Saul, but we need coffee. Me, then bring it. It's not my duty. Want creamer? Bring it yourself. I'm done supplying coffee. Saul, I'm calling Bob again. Me, go ahead. He'll tell you the same thing I am, and you'll just waste his time like you're wasting mine. I'm heading home. Bye. I turn and leave. Saul wait come back. I show up for my next shift, and all the coffee supplies are fully restocked, and they've stayed that way since. Someone else took over, keeping the coffee going. I even noticed change piling up in the jar regularly. I haven't put in a single cent, but it keeps filling up. Someone else is handling it now. I didn't bother finding out who, maybe Saul himself, or he roped someone else into it. I get free coffee, so I don't care. Quick update. About a week ago, I finally had to retire the coffee maker. Someone swiped the carafe from it. That pissed me off so much I just took it home. Saul's not at the factory anymore, so nobody cared. Well, that's it for today's stories. Drop in the comments if something like this has happened to you or someone you know. I feel like this kind of thing is pretty common in any workplace with a team. I bet we'd all love to read your stories. Thanks for watching this video to the end. Check out our previous videos, which you'll see right here. Subscribe to our channel, and good luck.